Hello, humans. Great to see everyone's face today. I really appreciate everyone taking time out of your day to join us. Welcome to the July Trevor Kashey Nutrition Ask Me Anything. Every month, the TKN team of experts goes live inside of our private Facebook group where people bring us their burning questions about nutrition, diet hacks, performance, and more. And we walk them through what actually works in the real world. And if you're ready to look in the mirror and finally feel proud of the person staring back, click on the link below and schedule your call. We want to help you create a life worth living on purpose and with purpose. My name is Huggy Bear McNiff, and yes, that is my real name. I'm the head coach here at Trevor Kashey Nutrition, and joining me today are coaches extraordinaire Nelson Thompson, Ben Fudge, and Dr. Taylor Weglicki. Now, how was everybody's 4th of July? Everybody still got all their fingers and toes? We all good?
Seems like it.
Still got them. Still got them. I will tell you, we braved a theme park on the 4th of July. It's one of
Oh,
those things I
Jesus.
do not recommend. It is hot. It is busy. It's a lot to take in. It was chaos.
Did they do fireworks
Stand at
at
theme
the
parks on a
park?
regular day. I couldn't imagine going on a holiday.
Oh man. Oh, so they do fireworks. We
That's
didn't
awesome.
stay we didn't stay that late because we've learned better. Like it might take you an
The
hour to get around
leaving.
a parking lot.
Yep.
Plus, everybody's musty at that point.
Universal or Disney?
We went to SeaWorld.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
that's cool.
Even step down from Disney or Universal. Like crazy.
Yeah, you want to see a real step down, go to the SeaWorld here in San Antonio. All right. Like there's nothing like a SeaWorld in a landlocked state to like get everybody sitting there like, wait a minute, is this like one of my
Love it.
favorite things to do? Excellent.
It's legit.
All right, guys, we got a bunch of questions. And for everybody that's here participating, please feel free to throw your questions, your comments up in chat. We are here to support you. So let's go ahead and dive in. Very first thing we got today was I keep craving junk food and it's very hard to stay on track. What should I do? Now, because I like to hear myself talk, I'm going to go ahead and kick this one off. I like to actually look at these types of things from a behavioral perspective. And when we were saying, are we craving junk food? Are you actually physically craving this, or are you bored and you've trained yourself to do certain activities whenever you're bored? For example, hey, I've got a bunch of free time. I don't know what I'm going to do with my hands right now. Well, I'm going to start opening up the cupboards. And we all know that the more you open up a cupboard, the higher the probability is that you're going to grab something and end up eating it. So at this point in time, I would start saying, hey, look at the overall physical signals that we're getting. Are you actually hungry? Is it your regular mealtime? Or have you conditioned specific behaviors around these types of things? Ben, what do you got to add to that one?
I think I love where you took that with a behavior idea. The only other thing is in terms of specificity of problem, right? Are you craving junk food all day, every single minute of every single day, right? And then because it gets brought up all the time with even more problematic behaviors. Is there a specific time? Is there a specific circumstance? Is there a specific environment in which you crave those junk food? Because even if we take the example of problematic behaviors happening in the evening, I'm going to look at you and tell you, well, duh. Like you've just been going all day of you woke up, your frustration tolerance is high. You went through work, you dealt with all the BS that comes with work. The kid, you get home, the kids, and then you got more problems to deal with. And then when you finally get that relief at the in the evening, well, of course, you're going to fall to that level of reinforced behaviors. As you get more tired, as your frustration tolerance falls, you are more likely to revert back to what you've learned that's kept you alive. And when I say alive, literally the opposite of dying, right? The things you've learned that have kept you alive. So it's important as you look at those situations to be factual, to be specific, so that you can come up with solutions to be specific in order to address that problem. Might it mean, hey, I need to set a reminder in the evenings and be more diligent in the evenings? Absolutely. But through that specificity, you can come up with a system that works for you. Nelson, what you got?
Yeah, just to kind of carry over what Ben was talking about, when we're in the evenings here and you guys have always, run into these situations where you're craving junk food, chances are it's been reinforced many, many, many times. How many times in the past have you just not had the junk food? And so we're talking about reinforcement of behaviors over a course of weeks, months to then see something different. If you didn't have the junk food for 6 weeks and you're craving it, eventually those cravings will subside. New behaviors will take form. And so it's more about what behaviors do you guys want to reinforce? And that's what we're talking about here. How can we do things long enough for them to stick, become new routines, new habits for you so you continue to move forward?
Now, guys, we emphasize this a lot when we speak about behaviors because we know that the behavior and the environment can overall affect your biology and the signaling. Pavlov showed that to us. Like, hey, I'm going to ring a bell, watch my dog start drooling all over the place. So we've done that to ourselves for a normal thing. And so the advice that I always give everyone is some of the simplest and best advice that Dr. K gave me. Treat yourself the same way that you would treat your dog. You can literally train yourself the exact same way. The reason your dog is more responsive to it is because your dog doesn't treat his feelings as more important than the task that was given to him. And so if we can validate our emotions and then remove them and then focus on execution, well, that's how we continue to overcome.
And I like what you said there because it also drives in that point of measurement. Build that data, figure it out. Does it work? Because we can be like, oh my gosh, this whole thing isn't working. But then if you have that data, you can be like, well, actually, I caught myself 3 times this week and behaved a different way. Next week, it might be 4. And so building that system to be able to draw your awareness of doing the other thing, the other whatever, something else, so that you can actually monitor and manage that behavior over time. So you can recognize, oh my gosh, I am behaving differently in a more factual way versus that anecdotal that, oh, this isn't working and throw it all out the window.
All right. We got a great question from Katie up in the chat here. Katie asks, how much additional water weight do people generally store when they're sore from a workout? 11.7 pounds, Katie. No, I'm just messing with you. That's going to be entirely individual. It's going to be dependent on the person because obviously the size of muscles that you have, the size of overall container, so to speak, is going to influence how much water you can hold. And so Ben is going to hold more water weight than I am because he's more muscular than I am. I'm going to hold more water weight than Nelson is during these times because I carry more muscle than Nelson. So it's going to be one of those things that you're going to want to track. And it's also going to be dependent upon, again, what you train that day because larger muscle groups are going to create more trauma, which is going to be more inflammation. So it's one of those things where we're going to want to look at the data. But the data is only going to be effective if you have a baseline to start off with, which is why we always preach consistency. Hopefully that helps.
Katie, I can tell you after my tempo squat day the other week, I put on 3.5 pounds.
I got 5 last week for my leg day too.
And so that's where having multiple sources of data, because then you can look at it and be like, I stuck to my calories. I know what my calories are. I stuck to my targets and the scale went up and I have this data to be able to be like, oh, okay, I have this data. I know I hit my targets. And therefore, I can gut check it effectively and go, well, I didn't put on 3.5 pounds, 5 pounds of fat, probably likely water. And if I work on my hydration, work on my recovery, get some active recovery, get the fluid moving, we'll keep on rocking and rolling.
Katie, Ben's example there is fantastic too, because I gain 0 weight from muscle soreness. Now, where I gain most of my weight is when my sleep starts getting affected. I've mentioned this a couple other times. I have very dysfunctional sleep patterns, but anytime that I go more than 24 hours without sleep, minimum weight gain for me is 12 pounds. In a day, I will watch myself shoot up 12 pounds if I go 24 hours or more without sleep. And so again, it's going to be one of those things that we're going to encourage everyone to establish a consistent baseline and environment, and then you can start tracking some of these changes.
I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you go. I'm over this. I'm over those days, Hugs.
Dude, I've been over it for years. I wish I could just do something about it. All right, now this is going to be the one. We were almost going to put this one off because we may actually spend the rest of the call talking about this one. And that there are a lot of fun and nutrition fitness catchphrases out there. But what is the one that drives everybody crazy here? And now you're going to watch the coaches rant, guys. So feel free to chime in the comments.
Let's go. One, throw your favorite fitness proverb in the chat, and we will get to that one next. Mine, it's a marathon, not a sprint. But I'm going to tell you, is it grounded? Sure. Are results going to happen slower than you want? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think all of us as coaches wish we could just snap our fingers and like your results are boom, there. Like we all wish that for you. But I think because like I said, ultimately, whether it's a marathon or a sprint, you're going to hit this proverbial finish line. See it with the 75 hard, things like that. It's like, what happens after that? Well, nutritionally, life keeps going. right? And so understanding that the skills and behaviors that you're reinforcing, you're still going to eat food, you're still going to deal with stressors, you're still, even after you reach that goal. So looking at this as a life journey and a skill building journey to be able to support you through building data, building your awareness, and so that you understand the trade-offs of your decision making and ultimately allow you to move forward. Because ultimately, life doesn't have a finish line. You're learning how to manage your intake, manage your emotions, master your environment, learn about yourself, and develop systems that help support you becoming the person that you want to become.
And guys,
Nelson,
really,
I know you got a good
life's
one.
finish line only affects the people around you. It's not going to matter to you at all because you'll be dead. The game will be over. So it's really only the people around you and your affiliations.
I,
Nelson, what do you got to add to
I
that
was
one?
100% gonna say the finish line is death, guys. We don't want to reach that finish line yet. We got time,
A
all
nice
right?
little drop off. I want a nice drop off. Just
Mine is trust the process. We talk about it pretty often here where I don't trust shit. I know for me, for a fact, I don't trust people. I don't trust, anything out there in the ether. I have to collect the data and I have to learn on my own, right? So we talk about it as like, don't just trust the process. Where collect your data, build on that awareness, embrace the process, right? Embrace the process that actually works for you and gets you those informed decisions. So that's the big one for me. Don't ever just trust something. Collect your own data and see whether or not it's worth it. Taylor.
Oh, I'm gonna tell you right now, Brian dropped no pain, no gain in the chat. I am ready to fist
Oh
fight.
God.
It is the most annoying phrase. One, no pain, no gain. Have you ever been injured? Because shit hurts after you get an injury. And anybody here can attest. Nelson's ankle, Huggy's shoulder, Ben's
I
knee,
was gonna say.
everything in my lower body. Like you're messed up. And I go like a 2 out of 10 pain is a good day. So I still lift weights because if I don't lift weights, it hurts more. So no pain, no gain would be irrelevant because we living in a bubble that like drives around. Well, that's stupid things. As I hate no pain, no gain. It's stupid. But you, but I will say, people don't understand what discomfort is either. So like knowing how to get uncomfortable in a workout, that discomfort does drive change. So there, I get that little modicum of truth there, but I still think no pain, no gain is like fight on sight.
Dangerous.
the devil's in the details. Like these are just proverbs and they get thrown around and people but it's so true. It's like the devil's in the details. Like because people start internalizing these things of like, if I'm not suffering, I'm not growing. But it's like, well, if you look at the data, you can obviously be growing and like re-establishing baseline. And that's a big thing where people are like, I get complacent. But then you can also look back and be like, look how much further you've come, right? You have now developed the skills to continue to make it easy, which is honestly the point. Like that's the whole point. Develop the skills to make this as easy as possible.
Oh my God. I wish it was something like that. Like I've got to go. I'm gonna go with Nelson's. Like trust the process is one of those things that just piss me off every single time because I'm not a very trusting person. And this is actually where Dr. K was really, really valuable to me because he started making a play on my name and he was like, engage the process. And then at one point he said to me, he was like, hug the process. He was like, make sure that you get in there, ask questions, play with it. You want to try to break this so that we can put it back together, figure everything out. And that's how we're going to get better with these types of things. Like the idea of a mantra, so to speak, to help you recreate some awareness and draw you back to your situation, I think is very useful. But again, precision with language is going to be paramount to all of these situations because we want to make sure that we are giving ourselves better instructions. If you're giving yourself silly instructions, we're going to continue to engage in silly behavior. So the more precise our instructions can be, obviously the better results are going to be as we start to go forward. Now we're going to go ahead and stop that one there because otherwise we will all continue ranting on this one for a while. All right, this was another good one that we just had come in. Okay, what strategies do you guys utilize when in new situations to stay mindful?
Mm.
I'm going to go ahead and say this one for me. I like to make sure that I give myself some type of physical anchor to keep my awareness. Okay. I mentioned before, like I'm a very anxious person. I'm very socially awkward. And so one of the things I like to do is I like to give myself a physical cue. Like I will either count my fingers to make sure I'm staying in the moment. I will put something in my pocket that I can hold, something that I can use to ground myself and make sure that like, hey, I'm still being present. I'm still staying focused on the important things. What about you, Nelson?
For me, again, I'm also the same as Huggy here, where I'm socially awkward in these situations, especially with big environments. I'm always kind of outside of my head, not really enjoying the moment. Anything that I can do to kind of separate myself from that situation, because in the past it would be more so eat and drink to try to remove myself essentially or loosen up was the big one for that. Neither of these tactics worked for me long term, and that was the issue that I ran into. Is I would constantly do these things, would run into the situation of feeling like shit afterwards or being depressed because I wasn't gaining from the purpose of even spending any time with anybody. So now what I do is I personally will go into these new situations with the focus of just being aware of my actions versus reacting in the moment. One of my favorite things, like how you said, like fidget spinners or something with your hands is always good. Gum is also another one. I actually like to remove myself from the environment. I'll set timers on my phone for every hour. I've talked about this pretty often. I'll go to the bathroom. Nobody questions you go to the bathroom, and I'll actually text myself. Like I will go into my notes. I will message myself saying, "Hey, are you staying in the moment? Are you being logical about the shit that you're doing? Does it make sense that you're doing this, or are you starting to slip into old behaviors?" Because it's super easy for me to lose myself, especially when I'm surrounded by a ton of people, a ton of stimulus, restaurants, all those kind of things. That stuff really can mess with me. And so I like to remove myself, recenter my mind, and give myself little notes. And then you can reflect on the notes afterwards, which is fantastic, so that you can build on them going forward. If you do find yourself slipping, what caused it to start to happen? And then you actually have the data to say, okay, how can I do this better going forward? And so that's mine. Taylor, what about you?
Go
Oh,
on. Before we go on, I actually just want to focus on what Nelson said here. As far as the creating space and going off, this is really, really important because this pays back to the silly instructions a lot of people give ourselves. Okay. Like, how many times have you used the phrase, I'm trying to blow off some steam? And how many times have you actually left a pot that's boiling over on your stove so it could blow off that same steam? Well, no, if you were doing that in your kitchen, you'd be like, well, this is just absolutely dumb. Let me go ahead and remove this from the heat so that way we can go ahead and return to baseline. And so what Nelson is talking here, remove yourself from the heat so this way you can actually have your pressure return to normal. Like, dude, I think that is some of the best advice anybody can give, Nelson. Excellent, man.
100%.
Sorry
Because
for interrupting, Dubs. Go ahead, man.
No,
oh, go
I
ahead.
just when you say blow off some steam, it just makes me think like I'm an angry little teapot, and now I just can't get it out of my head. But I'm a huge
just do
fan.
that.
Yeah, right. I'm a huge
Billy
fan
for the dance.
of deep breath. Like just nasal, take a deep 5 second breath, blow out. And for some reason, just I used to do that when I started like at the starting line before a track race or cross country race and just help me like center right before I take off. And it goes a long way. Just that like over years of practice, that's become like just a quick center, quick and easy. And I think Ben's got something similar here, but man, it just helps.
It helps so much because I think understanding and setting expectations about what these new situations are. They're a new environment that you're walking into. If you went into the middle of the jungle and this was your first time there, you're gonna feel nervous. You're gonna get into this fight or flight response. Your body's going to be hyper aware of what's going on. And so being able to like understand what does that mean? Your heart rate's going to go up. Short-term memory is going to decrease. Adrenaline is going to spike. You're going to start getting that knot in your stomach. You're going to be like, oh my gosh, what the heck is going on? So being able to take a breath, work your plan. And honestly, I love that. And it was actually something that I was just thinking about. Something that I even did in combat situations was like before we went out, the thing that I would do was I tied my shoes because I usually walked around with like my boots untied, usually if we were just walking around camp. So just through that action of like tying my shoes was just that mental cue, but also tied to a physical thing to be like, it's game time. It's game time.
Oh, and to tack on to that, Ben, this is actually something that you also do, man. The changing clothes for every different
Oh yeah,
situation. Like
100%.
that's a fantastic one. That was something that obviously, like we talk about these things, like when you have certain things that are just automatic, we don't always think to talk about them. But there's something
Mhm.
that both of us picked up while we were in the military. It's like, hey, you
Yep.
have a uniform for a specific job. And so why not sit there and create that same thing in your own personal environment? Like, you guys have seen me when it's alignment time or when it's social networking time, I'm
Mhm.
never wearing a shirt. You guys are watching me post all the time, shirtless. Look, it's TKN time. Oh, look, I have one of my TKN shirts on. It's time to go walk Murph. It's a completely different uniform for these types of different things. And that way you can keep your mindset in the moment with all the different changes going on. I absolutely love
Exactly.
that one.
Tying it to a physical thing. And that can be like I do it at work still, where I change my shirt before I even leave the office. Like, and so having that change to be able to physically as well as mentally transition from work life to home life can be a very powerful thing.
All right. Let's go for a fun one now. What are your go-to workouts when traveling? Dubs, why don't you start this one?
Man, so I like this one a lot because personally, the last thing I want to do on vacation is go to a crappy hotel gym. So one of the things, if I'm traveling somewhere cool, I try to go somewhere cool, whether that is like a, I don't know, a randomly neat gym that's like got historic relevance, like it's Arnold trained here or something like that. I'll go work out there. Or like go out in the mountains and fight grizzly bears. Like that kind of stuff just is a lot more fun to me. Not necessarily fighting the grizzly bears, but the hiking portion, than just like saying, well, I have to hit day one, part four, in this gym and there's not a barbell. Like, what am I supposed to do? Well, Ben, what do you do, man?
Dude, I'm a big, just having multiple like acute variables to play with can be huge. And that's why I always encourage, like, if you've got questions about workouts, to send them to your facilitator, get a coach to be able to leverage their experience. If I'm traveling, I'm big on balance and I'm big on tempo because a lot of times, even hotel gyms, things like that, don't have a ton of equipment to be able to utilize. But what I can do is I can challenge myself within a modality. Can I do this single leg? Can I do this on a bow suit? Can I do this unilaterally? Or can I simply just slow the rep down? Can I take something and be like, all right, I'm going to do a 4 second, because those are hard words, eccentric in the squat. And that just by changing that modality up a little bit can be a real son of a bitch when it comes to training in a new environment. Nelson, what do you do?
Yeah, so carrying over from what both Dr. Dubs and Ben both said here, it depends on the environment, right? If you're going out and the purpose is to be kayaking or hiking or things like that, I don't know how you track a PR fighting a bear, but that would be kind of cool to track in one body. We'll see.
I'm back to 1,000 technically because I'm still alive.
You walk away
Pictures
from
or
the
it didn't
fight.
happen. Pictures or it didn't happen.
That's true. I like the picture idea. For me, it's more so identifying what levers I can pull on and what I have for myself, right? Going in and identifying what hotel or what the gyms are at the hotels. I work out from home, and so my stuff is relatively minimal. I don't get to play with a lot of equipment. If I go to a hotel that has some nice ass equipment, like some pulley stuff and machines, I am going to enjoy the hell out of that. And so I'm going to lean into the stuff that I don't get to do very often, like Ben was talking about with balance work or those kind of things. If it's not about travel, if it's not about the kayaking or the hiking, then yeah, it's going to be a little bit more of what can I accomplish, and it's more about the reinforcement of the behaviors. That is it for me in a nutshell. Can I wake up in the morning? Can I still do something for myself to reinforce, even though I'm in a different environment, I'm still showing up for myself. And so with that being said, I always take bands with me, and I have been getting into Olympic rings because those things are a monster. You can get a freaking workout out of those things. You hook them up to the door and they destroy your body. And so really easy to just do in your hotel gym, easy to pack, and that has been my like backup when I don't have a good gym to go play in.
Well, as the old man of the group, I take a little bit different approach to all of this because I've got a multitude of injuries. Okay, so like on a regular day, like a good day waking up, my pain levels are constantly at a 6 out of 10. Most days it's like running around 7 to 8 out of 10. Dr. Dubs has taken a look at me many times, and like Dr. Dubs is like, holy crap, I've never seen somebody as fucked up as you are. And that was actually the clinical terms he used with looking at everything. So what I do is every single day, because I'm a tin man when I get out of bed, is I have something that I do called my Holy Trinity, where I will start off every single day and I do pull-ups, I do push-ups, and I do some type of unilateral leg movement. Cossack squat, reverse lunge, walking lunge. I've got a number of different things I can do. It's just kind of rotating. I'll switch up my grips on pull-ups. Maybe I may replace it with dips, but I like to do upper body push, upper body pull, and some type of unilateral leg movement. That's just how I get moving for the day. So every single day, I'm always getting at least between 25 and 50 pull-ups, about 25 and 50 push-ups, and some squats or some lunges going on. And so every single day, that's how I get things started with. Now, the next question I ask myself with is, why am I going on vacation? Am I going on vacation to train? Do I have a competition coming up? Am I getting prepared for anything? If I'm not, then I'm probably not going to make it a huge priority to train because I don't really have a need to. I'm going to be on plenty active on vacation. Now, during the times where I was competitive, anytime I went on vacation, I would track my gyms ahead of time. I would find people to be able to train with. So it's just making sure that you are identifying what problem you are trying to solve. If you're going on vacation and you know you have a competition X number of weeks, it's going to be imperative that you keep checking those boxes so you can do your best on the competition. If you're doing this because it's a way of life and it makes you feel better, it allows you to have the life that you want. Hey, I'm looking great naked. I'm moving fluidly. I'm able to be active and go out and do cool shit. Well, then find a way that you can still continue to do those things on vacation. And then that way you have fun. And this is how you integrate all areas of your life. All right, guys. That was probably a great question to end up on. We are running out of time. So I want to thank everybody so much for joining us for this month's TKN Live AMA. Our next one is going to be on Monday, August 3rd. And again, if you are ready to change your life on purpose and with purpose, click the link below and schedule a call. We can't wait to welcome you to TKN. You guys have an awesome day. We'll see you soon.
Bye, y'all.